English enthusiasts, welcome to my channel. This is teacher Ramil and I am inviting you in today's lesson. Welcome in today's lesson. Our topic is about debate and I'll be sharing as well the roles of speakers in a debate. Ideally, debate is conducted to highlight some political, economic, ecological, medical, and even technological issues where our students, some leaders, and advocates are assertive to articulate these relevant situations. Aren't you excited? Let us know what debate is. When we say debate, it is a formal discussion on a particular topic in a public meeting in which opposing arguments are put forward. So it's obvious that there are two opposing sides. And here's the ideal arrangement of the two opposing sides. We have the government, or also known as the affirmative side, where the debaters or speakers are fighting on the motion or the topic being debated. We also have the opposition side, also known as the negative side, where the speakers are usually against the stand of the government side. Okay? And we have there also the adjudicators who will be listening and who will be adjudicating your different constructive speeches and argumentative statements, right? So this time, let us know the specific roles of speakers in a debate. We have the government side speakers, we have the opposition side speakers. The arrow there reminds us or leads us to who will give first the constructive speech, then who will end up also the constructive speech. Okay, let's start with, of course, it's obvious, the government side. So the Prime Minister who sets the parameters such as the definition and the arguments to be debated. We also have there, after the government side, particularly the Prime Minister, we have the opposition leader. So the opposition leader justifies the accuracy of the Prime Minister's arguments and makes a counter policy and or guidelines as counter arguments. Then after the opposition leader, we'll go now to the government side, who is the Deputy Prime Minister. So the Deputy Prime Minister supports the Prime Minister's arguments and refutes some arguments given by the opposition leader. Then after the speech of the Deputy Prime Minister, then the Deputy Opposition Leader, okay, who will support the opposition leader's arguments and refutes to some arguments articulated by the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister. Then afterwards, after the four speakers had articulated their views, we'll go now to the government whip. The government whip will no longer be presenting another possible argument, but summarizes the strong points or arguments of the government side and somehow points out some weak points of the opposing side. And similarly, the opposition whip will no longer be also presenting another possible argument, but summarizes the strong points or arguments of the opposition side and somehow points out some weak points of the opposing side, which is the government side, right? Then after the six speakers had argued, then this time, after the different speeches, each team is given a short period of time for the reply speech, which will be given first by the opposition side, right? And then followed by the government side. What is expected from them is to stand strong why their team will win the debate by articulating effectively their points during the debate. Okay? So for us to learn further to give how to give your argumentative speech formally, here are some effective lines or statements in the debate. In the actual debate, this is how the motion or topic to be debated is constructed. So this house believes that online education shall be implemented. So let's try that the topic or this motion will be debated, right? So who will speak up first, of course, the Prime Minister of the government side. So you can have this statement as your starting point, right? So as the Prime Minister, it is relevant to implement the online education. So you have to set your parameters, set the definition, and other significant arguments. Then afterwards, we have the opposition leader. So the opposition leader will share, will start this way. As the opposition leader, it is irrelevant to implement the online education. So it's your task to refute, to test, to justify the accuracy of the Prime Minister's argument, right? And then after the opposition leader's speech, we have the Deputy Prime Minister. So you can start this way. As the Deputy Prime Minister, I support our Prime Minister's arguments, so whatever the arguments given by the Prime Minister, and also highlight some weak points of the opposition leader. So the opposition leader failed to what? Right? And then the Deputy Opposition Leader. So you can start this way. As the Deputy Opposition Leader, I support our opposition leader's argument, and whatever the arguments of the opposition leader. Then you can continue by saying the Deputy Prime Minister as well as the Prime Minister failed to. Then you have to present some weak points of the government side this time, right? And then after such is the government whip. So you can do this way since you are not there to give another argument, but instead you're there to summarize the strong points of your side. So for instance, in the government side, so you can start this way. Being the government whip, the opposition side has failed to articulate, to justify then those statements coming from the opposition side, right? Then after the government whip's speech, okay, we have the opposition whip. So you can start this way. Being the opposition whip, the government side has failed to justify, to articulate other significant things in a debate, right? So after the different speeches of the speakers, then both sides are given a short time to prepare for a reply speech. So the opposition side will start. So you can start this way. Being the opposition leader, the opposition has articulated well the motion on online education, and we will win this debate for what reasons, right? And then the opposition reply speech will be followed by the government reply speech. So being the Prime Minister, the government has articulated well the motion on online education, then we will win this debate. So these are just some idea lines and statements in doing debate, right? So I hope you learned something today. The effective and excellent way of doing debate, be it inside the classroom, online, and even in the actual debate competitions. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to share today's lesson. This is Teacher Ramil. Good day, everyone.